If you are between the ages of 65 and 80, there is something you deserve to know. It is not written in most books. It is not shown on the television. But it is true. At this stage of life, you have the power to become quietly, deeply, almost magnetically irresistible, without needing to say a word, without performing, proving, or pretending. This is not about youth or beauty or noise. This is about presence. And presence is one of the rarest forms of power there is. It speaks in silence, and people feel it even if they cannot explain it. You see, true attraction past the age of 65 is not about what people often chase in their younger years. It is not about impressing others with achievements or possessions. It is not about smooth skin or fast talk. In fact, research from the University of California, Berkeley, has shown that as people age, their emotional intelligence often improves. This means that they become more in tune with others. They know when to speak and when to remain still. They know how to listen in a way that makes others feel seen. And the ability to make others feel understood without uttering a word is one of the most irresistible traits a person can have. The first trait that makes someone silently attractive after 65 is calm confidence. It is not loud. It does not need to be. Calm confidence is the kind that comes from surviving life's battles and still choosing to stand tall. It is the quiet way someone enters a room and brings a certain steadiness with them, not because they are trying to be impressive, but because they have nothing to prove. They have already proven it to themselves. This confidence is deeply attractive because it provides safety, and safety is magnetic. According to a longitudinal study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, older adults who exhibit greater self-acceptance tend to have higher social appeal. People want to be near those who make them feel grounded, and there is nothing louder than calmness in a world that is constantly screaming. The second trait is attentiveness, real attentiveness. Not the kind where you are waiting for your turn to speak, the kind where you are truly present, where your eyes do not scan the room for someone else to notice, where your body language leans slightly forward, where your silence feels like an invitation rather than a barrier. The Harvard study of adult development, which has followed participants for more than 80 years, consistently shows that relationships are the single biggest predictor of happiness and longevity. And at the heart of all deep relationships is the ability to make another person feel like they matter. You do not need to say anything to show someone that they matter. You only need to be present, really present. And when you are, people feel it. They sense it in their bones. The third trait is grace. And by grace, I mean the ability to carry yourself with dignity through the ever-changing seasons of life. Grace does not mean perfection. It means composure. It means letting go of the need to win every argument. It means choosing understanding over judgment. Grace is when your movements are slow, deliberate, and peaceful. It is when you walk into a space and bring with you the wisdom that nothing needs to be rushed, that most things will resolve themselves with time. In a world that often idolizes urgency, grace is rare, and rarity is attractive. A study in psychology and aging showed that older adults who express higher emotional regulation and forgiveness tend to be perceived as more trustworthy and admirable. People gravitate toward those who make the environment lighter. Grace lightens the room without making a sound. The fourth trait is self-respect, and not the kind of self-respect that is defensive or prideful, but the kind that quietly sets standards. When you carry self-respect, you do not chase people. You do not need to explain your worth. You do not stay in places where your spirit feels small. Self-respect is not taught in words. It is taught by example. It is shown in the way you sit, the way you listen, the way you decline things that do not align with your values. When you respect yourself, you teach others how to treat you, and you become deeply attractive because people admire those who know who they are. The American Psychological Association published findings that suggest mature adults who demonstrate self-determined behavior tend to evoke more admiration and interest from those around them. There is no need for shouting. The quiet power of self-respect speaks louder than volume ever could. The fifth trait is warmth. Now, warmth is not about being overly cheerful or agreeable. It is about having a kind presence, a gentle gaze, a subtle smile. It is the way your energy says, "You are safe with me." This kind of warmth has nothing to do with talking. It has everything to do with being. Researchers from the University of Toronto conducted a study showing that warmth and trustworthiness are two of the primary traits people assess when forming first impressions. And as people age, they often become better at expressing warmth. It is in their touch, their eyes, their silence. When someone carries warmth without needing to speak, they become a refuge. And that kind of person is someone others will seek out over and over again. The sixth and final trait is authenticity, and this is perhaps the most powerful one. When you are authentic, you no longer try to be anyone else. You do not perform. You do not compete. You do not wear masks. You have lived enough life to know that being yourself is the only thing worth being. And people are drawn to that, because in a world full of performance, realness is a breath of fresh air. You can see authenticity in the way someone dresses. Not to impress, but to express. You can feel it in the way they say no. You can hear it in the way they do not speak, just to fill the silence. A meta-analysis in Personality and Social Psychology review confirmed that authenticity is consistently linked to greater psychological well-being and deeper interpersonal attraction. When you are real, people feel like they can be real too, and that is magnetic. So you see, being silently irresistible at this stage of life is not about making more noise. It is about being more still, not about trying harder, but about being more true. When you carry calm confidence, attentiveness, grace, self-respect, warmth, and authenticity, you do not need to say much. People feel you. They sense you. They lean toward you without even realizing why. And perhaps most importantly, when you live with these traits, you begin to feel differently inside. You wake up with a deeper peace. You move through the world with more softness. You look in the mirror and see someone you genuinely admire. And that, right there, is the most powerful kind of attraction there is, the kind that begins within and radiates outward. So if you are 65 or 75 or even 80 and you wonder if you are still seen, if you still matter, if you still carry that spark, let me tell you the truth, you do. In fact, the spark you carry now may be the most powerful it has ever been. Not because it burns the brightest, but because it burns steady. And in a world of flickering lights, that kind of steady fire is unforgettable. You do not need to chase attention. You only need to embody presence. You do not need to make noise. You only need to live in truth. And you do not need to ask anyone to see you. When you live with silent strength, they will, every time. And that, my dear listener, is how you become quietly, unshakably, silently irresistible without saying a word. How do you begin to cultivate these 6 traits in daily life? If you've reached a place in life where the quiet moments mean more than the loud ones, then you are ready to begin cultivating the 6 traits we talked about earlier. Calm confidence, attentiveness, grace, self-respect, warmth, and authenticity. These are not traits you're either born with or without. They are grown, nurtured, strengthened like muscles through small daily choices. And the good news is, you already have everything inside you to build them. No one needs to give them to you. You only need to remember them, because life, with all its challenges and noise, sometimes makes us forget what we've always carried. Start with calm confidence. This trait does not come from pretending to have it all together. It comes from knowing that you've faced storms and are still standing. Every morning before you do anything else, take 1 full minute to breathe. No phone, no radio, just a quiet moment to center yourself. Research from the University of Wisconsin has shown that even short periods of mindfulness each day can significantly reduce anxiety and increase emotional balance in older adults. Calm confidence begins in the breath. The more you choose stillness in moments of pressure, the more you train your body and mind to carry quiet power. And people feel that. They really do. Attentiveness comes next. And that begins by learning to be fully where you are. Not in the past, not worrying about what might happen, but right here. One of the most powerful things you can do each day is to listen to someone without interrupting. Not to respond, not to fix, just to hear. Even if it's someone telling a story you've heard before, you listen because it matters to them. This builds your attentiveness like nothing else. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that when older adults engage in active listening, their relationships grow deeper and their sense of purpose increases. And purpose is fuel for connection. Every time you truly listen, you train your heart to be present. And the world needs more of that. Now, grace, this one is built in the quietest places, when someone cuts you off in conversation, when a family member forgets to call, when your body feels stiff or tired and you wish it didn't. Grace is choosing to meet these moments with understanding instead of frustration. You practice this by giving yourself compassion first. When you make a mistake, when you forget something, when you feel slower than you once were. Tell yourself, this is part of the journey. I am still worthy. A research paper from Stanford University showed that self-compassion in older adults is linked to lower levels of depression and higher resilience. And when you treat yourself with grace, you naturally begin to treat others the same. You move slower, softer, and more kindly through life. That kind of energy cannot be faked, and it cannot be ignored. Then there is self-respect. This one might be the most personal. It grows every time you make a small decision that honors who you are. Saying no to something that drains you, choosing to wear what makes you feel like yourself, taking the walk, eating the meal that makes you feel good. You show yourself respect not in grand ways, but in small, repeated actions. And when others see you honoring yourself, they take note. A study published in Psychological Science found that people of all ages are more drawn to those who exhibit what researchers called internal consistency, which is the alignment of words and actions. This is what self-respect looks like in motion. When you do what you say, when you keep your own company well, when you walk into a room not needing to be liked, but simply willing to be yourself. That's power, that's influence, that's respect. Now, warmth. This trait often gets overlooked because people confuse it with being overly nice or agreeable. But warmth is much deeper than that. It is the way you make someone feel when they sit next to you. It is the feeling that you will not judge them, that your presence is safe. You cultivate warmth by learning to let go of the need to be right, by smiling more, by saying good morning to strangers even when they do not respond, by putting your hand gently on someone's shoulder, by writing a note to someone who needs encouragement. These small acts create a presence that others want to be around. A study by Princeton psychologists revealed that people make lasting judgments about others within seconds. And warmth was rated as even more important than competence in forming those impressions. You do not need to say much. You only need to show people that they are welcome. That is what draws others in. Finally, authenticity. This one is the root of everything else. And it begins when you stop asking, what do others expect of me? And start asking, what feels true for me? That shift changes everything. You build authenticity by removing the masks, by speaking your truth gently, by owning your past without shame, by allowing your laugh to be loud or your silence to be full. You start by looking in the mirror and not criticizing what you see, but appreciating who you are. You've lived decades. You've survived seasons others could not imagine. That history gives you the right to be fully you. A study published in the Journal of Happiness Studies showed that older adults who live in alignment with their values report higher satisfaction and lower stress. So take a moment each day to ask yourself, what is real for me right now? And let that answer guide how you move. Speak, dress, breathe, be. The beautiful thing about these traits is that you do not need to master them all at once. In fact, you cannot. What you can do is begin. Just begin. Choose one moment each day to practice one of them. Over time, they will become part of you. Not as something you do, but as who you are. People around you will feel it. They may not be able to name it, but they will know they feel better when they are near you. And that is no accident. That is presence. You are not past your prime. You are not fading. You are ripening, becoming richer, more grounded, more essential. And when you live with calm confidence, with attentiveness, with grace, with self-respect, with warmth, and with authenticity, you will not need to speak to be seen. You will not need to perform to be valued. You will not need to explain to be felt. You will simply live. And in that living, you will attract what matters most. Not attention, but connection. Not applause, but peace. Not noise, but meaning. So begin today, not with pressure, but with patience. Not with performance, but with practice. You already have the roots. Now water them, let them grow, and let the world see you, quietly, clearly, powerfully.